How easy would it be to build your business if you knew the future? If you knew what was going to happen 3 months, 6 months, 2 years from now, how easy would it be to make the decisions you need to make today to impact what your future is going to look like in the future? In today's nugget, what I'm going to do is break down a couple examples of how you can quote unquote see the future. And the first example, I'm going to use the past. Use the past to be able to see the future. And the second example, I am going to use the past. Again, you'll see what I mean in a minute. In the first example, I want to show with you how to use your own past. In Dunzo, my executive assistant agency, we hire executive assistants and then place them with business owners, entrepreneurs, people that want to free up their time so that they can be doing the stuff that they need to do to build their business. And we need to be able to pair two different people, two different humans together to work as best as possible together without having met before, right? This is quite the challenge. And we need to have a lot of things set up in place so that we can find the best person that is going to work with the type of clients that we have. And so we have one overarching principle that we use to make almost every decision that we make in the hiring process for Dunzo. What that is, and I say it all the time, anybody that knows me has probably heard me say this, how you do one thing is how you do most. Now, if you've ever heard this kind of sentiment before, you've probably heard it said, how you do one thing is how you do all things. I don't agree with that. That is not always true. But I do believe it is how you do most things, right? And that is the best indicator that we can use in the hiring process to know what our future is going to look like if we decide to take on a particular candidate as an EA. So in our application questions, we ask past-based questions, right? That's not anything nuanced to any application questions, but we ask past-based questions very strategically to understand how they answer about what they've done in the past. Because whatever they have done in the past, how they've dealt with a particular situation, how they have dealt with a particular type of person, that is very likely going to be how they deal with somebody in the future, right? When that same or similar situation or person comes up, they're probably going to do about the same thing. Now, as an agency, we have a ton of data. We have a bunch of data of knowing what has worked before, what has not worked before, with particular types of pairings, with the types of clients that we bring on. We understand how the past has happened, and we always want to learn from the past so that we don't make the same mistakes in the future, right? This is how we can see the future, and we can see the problems that lie ahead so that we can make the decisions now to kind of mitigate against the pain of making a poor choice now. And with all that data that we have collectively, we use kind of the principle from Derek Sivers. If it is not a hell yeah, then it is a no. Now, I don't fully agree with that sentiment, but it is a very good guiding principle, because anytime we find ourselves deliberating about a particular person in the application or interview process, if we are deliberating whether we believe they'd be a good fit for our types of clients, and we have spent more than probably 5 minutes talking about this, inevitably somebody brings up the fact that, hey, this is not a clear yes. And as soon as somebody says that, we all then, yep, got it. And we generally just move on. And we know that that is not a client that we are excited about for our types of clients. And so why would we expect our clients to be excited about a potential candidate that we're not excited about, right? So it helps us to not make bad pairings. I'm not saying we haven't made less than ideal pairings, but we don't make bad pairings, right? And then the more data we get, it helps us to make better and better and better pairings as we go, right? We've been doing this for like 3.5, 4 years now, and we have almost 4 years of data showing us what an amazing pairing looks like. And so we keep getting closer and closer to that. So we reduce the risk of making a bad pairing, having a headache for the client, having a headache for the EA, having a headache for us as a team. We have reduced the risk of potential headaches in the future because we use data from the past. Now, our secondary filter that we use in making as good a decisions as we can today is, let's pretend that we are in the future, and this type, or let's still use the example of a pairing, and this pairing does not work out. If this pairing doesn't work out in 6 months from now, like, finish the sentence. I knew that wouldn't work out because, right? As soon as something happens, right? If let's say an executive assistant and client pairing did not work out, we then would have like, man, I knew it wouldn't work out because this particular reason. Man, I knew it wasn't going to work out because of, man, I really had a big hesitation about whatever those things are that you're going to say on the back end of something not working out. Bring that to the front end. And if you cannot justify why those things are very likely not going to happen, then you are pretty much signing up for that being your future. Because at some point, it might not be 6 months, it might be a year, but at some point you are likely going to encounter the problems and issues that are kind of going to be the reason for the downfall of whatever situation or whatever decision you are trying to make it right now. It's not now in Dunzo, it's not just us, like as the leadership team, we don't just use the past in the hiring process. The potential EAs actually use the past as well. And so when the EAs are starting to work with us, generally they are vetting us through a Facebook group and asking if we are a legit business, who has worked with us before? Do they get paid? Do they get paid on time? Are they left alone without support? What can they expect? What does it look like? They are trying to reduce their risk by making all of the unknowns known to them. And because we have such an amazing track record, our EAs will go to bat every time telling them exactly how it is. And we never have to worry about any of that because we actually fulfill on the promises that we said that we were going to do in the whole hiring process, right? So we get to use the past to our advantage to get new EAs because our current EAs are helping the new EAs make good decisions, right? So this is the gift of going second. I love this. This is from Justin Demers. I learned this a few years ago. And the gift of going second, it's when the early adopters have already gone forward. They've already gotten bloody, beaten. They've gotten the arrows in their back, right? So they have given the gift of going second. This brings us to our second example. Our second example is one of my really good friends, and she is one of the most amazing artists that I have ever encountered. She's an amazing artist. She's an amazing person. She's international pieces. She's award-winning. She wins freaking awards all the time. We basically have a joke within our friends group of like, what award did you win this time? What happened? What cool thing did you have like this next time? Because Amanda just always is stacking up these massive wins. And I'll show you how in just a second. I want to gift to you Amanda Markle. Her links will be in the description, right? Her Instagram, her website. Go check out her artwork. She's a bronze sculptor and she does the most amazing work I have ever seen. Anybody that looks at her work is just like, it is beautiful. It is speaking so loudly to me. I have to have this piece in my house. It's some of the most incredible things to watch people look at her art for the first time. And you're welcome for the suggestion. So Amanda is a master at using the past of others to be able to see her own future. She takes a very systematic approach to understanding who she needs to talk to about stuff that they have already done and they have already won. If they have already proven, right, gift of going second, they've already proven that they can do this thing at an excellent level, whatever the thing is that they need, whether it's within art or it's within business or it's within relationships, whatever it is, Amanda seeks out the advice from those people and they tell them what her future is going to look like if she keeps doing what she's doing or if she adjusts along the path, right? And like this is the benefit of bringing consultants and coaches into your life. Quick story about Amanda. She was in one of my private masterminds, and she was talking to me and a couple other people about quitting her job. And she was making the decision of going full-time into art, which is, if you know anything about the art world, is a very scary place to be. Most artists do not make it full-time. But Amanda is not most artists, and she does not seek out people that are not like most people. So Amanda would seek out advice. She was in the mastermind. She was asking any and every question that mattered to her scenario and situation. And she would ask about what it would look like if she kept doing what she was doing. She would ask me questions, and I would be able to pull from all of the data that I have, all of the past of working with clients, of my own past, any data that I can, to be able to see the future and know what Amanda was likely going to encounter if she kept doing things the way she was doing them. And I can tell you most of the way she was doing them was awesome. But there were a few things that needed slight changes because she's never been there. She's never been on that journey. She would be able to access the past and be able to use that information to make decisions in the present and be able to specifically tell Amanda, hey, maybe don't price it this way and price it this way, because if we looked at profit margins and we did these things and we could take information from the business world, apply it to the art world, and have her still be the most amazing artist who really deeply cares about art, isn't a sellout, but can operate as a legit business, and she can full-time now do what she loves and gift the world with her art. Now, here's the biggest note that I would encourage almost anybody to take. How do you get the most out of consultants? How do you get the most out of people that have been there, done that, got the t-shirt? Here it is. You listen to the advice and then you do the doing. You listen to the advice of the people telling you, hey, if you don't change this, you are likely going to, a year from now, you're going to have this bottleneck and it's not going to work. You're going to wish you changed it now rather than a year from now. Right? And so if you can listen to that advice and actually do the thing, you will be star student, and that consultant, that coach will help you to the moon. Amanda was the star student because she would ask for advice, she would listen to it, and then she would do. And then she would come back and be like, all right, I did the thing. So what's next? What do we do now? And then she would listen to the advice, and then she would do it again, and she would come back with, yep, so I did that thing. Here's the results. What do I do now? Over and over and over again. Amanda has gotten so good, so good, that she sells lumps of unfinished sculptures. Okay? She has a clay sculpture that is lumpy, that vaguely resembles the beauty that's to come, and she sells those pieces before they're even done. Talk about giving the gift of going second. Amanda has such a pile of proof behind her that she can make the most breathtaking pieces of art, that people are willing to buy her pieces before they're even done. They buy them off a sketch and a lump of clay. And just like at Dunzo, when new potential EAs come in, they assess how much risk they're taking on by working with us, by looking at testimonials, talking to current EAs, right? They are assessing us through the entire process because subconsciously they know how you do one thing is how you do most. And if we, at any point in the process, trip up and we show them that we don't actually fulfill on our word, then who's to say that we're going to keep fulfilling on our word in the future? We're proving to them that our word does not actually mean what it said, right? So by the time that we get to the end of the process and we ask them if they don't want to come aboard and join us, it is almost pretty much every time is unequivocally yes. They want to. They were so excited to, because we have seen that how they do everything, how they do one thing is how they do most through the whole interview. And they've seen the same from us, right? So we have both reduced the risk on both sides of our relationship, and it's an easy yes. And then we pair them with a client that they then are excited about because we have fulfilled every other promise that we've made before that. And when we come to them saying, hey, I think we have a client for you that's going to be awesome. They're like, yeah, sounds good. Let's hear more about it. Right? Mountains of proof make it easy for you to be able to find new clients, to find new employees, to even find consultants like Amanda, right? But what if you have been sucking it up? What if you have been you have a bad track record, right? How you do one thing terribly, you do most things terribly. And let's say you do not have the proof built up with yourself, with your clients, right? I would suggest starting with yourself, prove it to yourself. Start taking those baby steps to be able to prove to yourself that you can do what you said you're going to do. Go back to last week's nugget, the say do nugget, right? And do what you say you're going to do. When I started my entrepreneurial journey, I had such a crappy history with myself that I was the hypocrite. I would say I'm going to wake up early, and I just didn't wake up early. And I'd say I'm going to read books, and I wouldn't read books. And I'd say I knew what I needed to do. I just didn't do what I needed to do. And so I started. I made the change, and I took baby steps. One of the biggest things and the simplest things that changed my life, it started to change my brain, was I started to read a chapter of a good book every day, right? Thanks to Dale Carnegie in How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's what he suggested at the beginning of his book. I took it seriously. I read one chapter of a good book every day. And what I would do to keep myself accountable is I would text my group of friends, my closest group of friends, and I would text them a quote of something that I learned that day, right? Whatever it was, I would text it to them, and every weekday is what I committed to. Every weekday, I would send a text and read a chapter and send a text. I did that for years. I think I did that for about 3 years straight. And I started building proof with myself that I could do what I said I was going to do. So start small, do what you say you're going to do, and keep making it bigger and bigger. It's all about the baby steps. It's all about using the past, which is currently the present for you right now, to build up the proof you need to make decisions and have people think you are awesome and know what to expect when they get into relationship with you, whether it's business or personal. Take the baby steps, commit to them, and do the doing. You got this.